Hey guys, good morning. How we doing? How's your day been so far? Well, today I just have one question for you, okay? I'm gonna ask you one question. This is a question that I think can honestly, truly change your life from this moment forward. It's a question that you can ask yourself every single day, every single moment of every single day. And when you ask this question, it'll change things. And here's why I know that this happens. It's because it's a question that I started to ask about a year ago. And the more I ask myself this question, the more it changes stuff in my life, all right? So before I get to this question, I want to kind of just preface why this is important to me, why I think it's important to you. Just like some of you, maybe even most of you, I've struggled a lot in my life with a lot of different things. And one of those is I want people to like me. Do you guys want to be liked? Anybody? All right, a lot of y'all are liars, but that's all right. We all like to be liked. We want other people to like who we are. We want to make people laugh. We want to make people happy, and we want to be happy. But sometimes we try so hard to make other people happy that we find that we aren't. Sometimes we try so hard to impress someone else that we aren't happy with who we are. Sometimes we try so hard to please others that we don't like who we are. And for me, this started a long time ago. It was the first time I can think about it. I was 5 years old and I was going to kindergarten, and it was show and tell. And what was my show and tell? My awesome baby blue bear. This bad boy went everywhere with me. He was my best friend. He slept with me. We talked. He talked back. He stopped talking after like 6 years old though. That was really sad, but it was cool when he talked. And he went everywhere with me. It meant everything in the world. So I was so excited to go to show and tell at kindergarten, 5 years old. I'm pumped. I'm ready. And I walk up on our playground before school even starts. I'm holding my bear. I got my backpack on. I'm ready to go. Big smile on my face. It's going to be the best day of my life. And I get up and I get like to where our line is for kindergarten. And everybody started to laugh at me. And they laughed at me because I brought a teddy bear for show and tell. Now the truth is, I'll bet at least half of them still had a teddy bear for when they were in kindergarten. But since I brought mine, they all decided, hey, let's just laugh at the guy, right? So they laughed. And I don't remember the comments, and I don't remember what they said, and I don't remember most of who said it. But I know that they made fun of me, and they laughed at me, and it sent me into tears. So here I am, 5 years old, kindergarten class, ready to show off my best friend, and here I am crying now, and now I'm getting made fun of and laughed at because I'm crying. Anybody ever cried before people, in front of people before? Were you ashamed of it? Were you embarrassed? People give you a hard time for it? So that's where I was. So I took my bear, this thing that meant so much to me, and I took it and I shoved it under this big turtle, and I shoved it under there, and I wiped my tears as best as I could, and I went inside. And I don't remember anything else that happened that day, except for when I came home and my mom picked me up from school, and my bear was missing. And she asked me, what happened to your bear? See, this bear meant just as much to her as it did to me, because this bear, the reason it's so special, isn't because of its color, isn't because of what it looks like, and isn't because of anything about it except for the fact that my mom handmade this for me when I was a baby. She picked out the fabric, she stuffed it herself, she sewed it up herself, she put the buttons on herself, she did everything herself. And so now this thing that I care about so much, and that my mom cared about so much, I shoved under a turtle because I was being laughed at. And the person that I remember laughing at me, his name is Chris. 30 years ago, and I still remember his name. I don't remember what he said, but I remember who it was. And Chris started to make fun of me, and Chris started to make these jokes and got everybody else to laugh. On that day, if I would have known that this question that I'm about to ask you would have existed, it could have prevented me from all of that pain. It's a question that will make you think about how you act every day here at school. You'll think about what you're doing when you're in class. You'll think about what it's when you're at your job and you're hanging out with coworkers or your boss or whatever it is. Maybe it's when you're at home. It will affect every aspect of your life. And that question is this: who am I trying to impress? And in every moment you can ask yourself, who am I trying to impress? Right now, in this room, in this very moment, who are you trying to impress? Is there a boy or a girl who looks kind of cute and you're like, hey, you're thinking of different ways that you can impress him or her. Maybe you're thinking of a friend. Maybe you're thinking of someone that you know doesn't like you, and you're trying to think of ways all the time that you can impress that person. Maybe you're thinking of what you can say to someone or what you can whisper. Maybe in order to make yourself look a little bit better, you're trying to think of maybe there's a moment where you can make fun of someone else so that someone else will be impressed by you. And here's what tends to happen, is we always want to impress those around us that we aren't impressing. And the people who already love us for who we are often get thrown under the bus, or in this case, thrown under a turtle. Who are you trying to impress? That question leads us to do two things. The first is to assess who we're trying to impress, right? First, to impress someone, you must first assess who you're trying to impress. It forces you to ask this question. When you ask, who am I trying to impress right now, you can think about, what's their face? What do they look like in kindergarten at 5 years old? If I had asked myself, who am I trying to impress today, I would have realized it wasn't my mom, and it wasn't my teacher, it wasn't the cute girl, it was Chris. And if I had known that I was trying to impress Chris, I never would have brought my bear in the first place. Because I would have known that this would not have impressed Chris. But if instead I would have asked myself, who am I trying to impress? And I realized it was my mom. I was trying to impress my mom by taking this thing that her and I both cared so deeply about. And if I was trying to impress her, it wouldn't have mattered what Chris had to say. It wouldn't have mattered if people laughed at me. It wouldn't have mattered what anyone else said or did, because I knew I was trying to impress my mom. Then once you assess who you're trying to impress, then you have to address them. Who is that person? What's their face? Put it in your mind. In every moment of every day, in the class that you're about to go to, during lunch, who are you trying to impress? When you leave school today and you go to practice, or you go to rehearsal, or you go home, or whatever it is that you're going to do, who are you trying to impress? Because the truth is, when we boil down a lot of our actions, we're always trying to impress someone. So once we know who it is, then we can know what we have to do. And here's all of this came up for me, right? I love to speak in public. I love doing this. I told Pastor Bill before I got up here, I was like, this is one of my favorite places to speak, period. And then I told him, continue to book me every single week. And then he's like, yeah, no problem. And then he won't text me. But that's neither here nor there, it doesn't matter. I love to come here and talk to you. But I also, when I'm standing up here, I'm in front of any other crowd, of course, I want what I'm saying to work. I want to connect with you. I want to impress you. And I found a few years ago that all of my speeches and messages and sermons were just falling flat. And so I'm trying harder and harder to impress people in what I'm saying. And so what I started to do was look for the faces that weren't happy, that weren't impressed. In fact, right now, I'm looking out, there's some of you right now who are not impressed. And so what I would do is I would try to impress you with what I was saying and what I was doing. But I would see that face, and then on the inside I'd start to say, this isn't working, this isn't happening. I gotta change it up, I gotta do something different. So I tried to be louder or more boisterous, or I get quieter and try and whisper. I would do anything I could, and it wasn't working. And a couple years ago I read this scripture from Galatians 1:10, and I'm just gonna summarize it. I'm gonna change a word. Paul asks, who am I trying to impress? Man or God? Because if I was trying to impress man, if I was trying to impress people, if I was trying to impress you, it would look so different than what I'm doing now. But if I'm trying to impress God, it changes everything that I do. And so when I pick up a microphone, or I'm getting ready to do something, and I'm getting ready to come here and talk to you, it's not how do I impress you. It's, Matt, how do I impress God? Because my audience is one right now, and it's Him. I might be looking at you, but I'm thinking of Him and Him only. God, how can I impress you? And when we start to ask, who am I trying to impress right now? And we realize that we want to impress God, it changes every action, every day that we do. It changes the way that we go to class. It changes the way that we play sports. It changes the way that we act when we're in theater. It changes the way that we do schoolwork and homework. It changes the way that we treat our teachers. It changes the way we treat our parents. It changes the way that we work if we have a job. It changes everything. So who are you trying to impress today? Who are you trying to impress? Are you trying to impress the person on your left or right? Or are you trying to impress God? Are you trying to impress that one kid in your class that doesn't like you? Or are you trying to even impress your parents with your grades? Who are you trying to impress? This question has changed me. And I believe that this question can change you. God did not breathe us into existence. He did not speak us into existence to impress others. He created you to impress Him, to please Him, to make Him happy. And here's the best part, and this is where it gets fun. He's already impressed by you. He already loves you. For 99% of us, your parents are already impressed by you. They already love you. Your close friends already are impressed by you. They already love you. And what happens for us is the people that we try to impress are probably the ones that we either never will impress or we shouldn't be impressing in the first place. And we spend so much time and so much energy trying to make them happy, trying to make them impressed, that we aren't happy with who we are. That's when our friends tell us, you've changed. That's when your parents say, this isn't the child that I raised. We alienate those who love us to impress those who don't love us. Who are you trying to impress? That's it. That's the question. And it forces us to assess and to address those that we want to make happy, those that we want to please, those that we want to impress. And that's it. That's my question. It's a question you can take from here. You can remember it. You don't have to write it down. It's a question you can remember today. It's a question you can remember tomorrow and 10 years from now. And the more you use it in your life, the more that you apply it, the more that it will change your life. And I don't know about you, but I'm tired of trying to impress people that I can't impress. I want to impress the one who actually breathed me into existence. I want to impress the only one who really matters, which is Jesus, who died on the cross for me, who loved me so much, He gave up everything He had just for me. And every day when I walk around, whether it's here or wherever I go after this, or if God wants me to say something to someone who I don't even know, it doesn't matter what they think. It only matters what God thinks. And so I can share my faith because I don't care what they think. I only care what God thinks. I come here and say exactly what I need to say because, no offense, but I don't care what you think. I only care what God thinks. Who are you trying to impress? Let's pray.